Little beef? There a little bit of beef? Do we need to get greasy?
The best show for Chicago sports.
Do we need to get greasy? We got to talk about some comments made by new running back coach Eric Bieniemy, and ask the question: did he just send a little bit of a warning shot out to one DeAndre Swift? Did he just let DeAndre Swift know, hey, this is what we doing? Get with the program and get it together. Maybe. Also, got to take a look around some of the things the Chicago Bears have done today. Some confirmed top 30 visits for the Chicago Bears. An interesting one in the running back community. Want to take a look at that as well. And did the Bears make the right decision at the O-line? I think that's already being proven true. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love as always, man. Appreciate y'all for rocking with your boy. Another day, another dollar. And if you made $1, shout out to you because they paid me 25 cents on the dollar. You know what I'm saying? Big questions in this running back room. And the biggest question of all is Eric Bieniemy going to rock with the backs that are in the room? By the way, if you're just joining the channel, please
come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Now listen. As many of the followers of this channel know, as many of the people who watch this channel know, Pat the Designer is not the biggest fan of DeAndre Swift as a running back on his team, mostly because of the funds that were allocated his way, right? Pat the Designer is not a big running back, spend the big bag guy, right? But what I would hope people do understand about Pat the Designer, not sure why I'm speaking in the third person, could be the glasses, is that Pat is going to speak fairly. Pat is going to give credit where credit is due. And Pat is going to listen to things that are said before he speaks. And so going around Twitter, going around Instagram, going around YouTube, you're going to see a bunch of videos today. Eric Bieniemy sends a shot at DeAndre Swift. This is going to be one of the worst things. Oh, he's going to be cut. It's going to be bad. Here we go. Listen before you speak is the lesson that I encourage anyone who wants to get into this business to do. Do not read the tweets. Go listen to what was said. Take the time to go out and hear the audio. Because if you read the tweets, this is what the tweet said. Eric Bieniemy would send, depending on who the tweet is from, right? Depending on who the tweet is from. Eric Bieniemy sending shots to DeAndre Swift. Now, more than anything, we've got to make sure that he understands that he can find 4.5 yards between the tackles, but also hit the home run when he needs to. Sounds like a shot. And especially if I phrase it as Eric Bieniemy taking a shot here, DeAndre Swift. He said today in an interview with Jeff Joniak, now more than anything, we've got to make sure that you understand that you can find 4.5 yards between the tackles. Now it sounds like a shot. Now it sounds like Eric Bieniemy is going out and dissing, as Bulls Daily just said. I caught that out the corner of my eye, and it was a great one. Sneak dissing DeAndre Swift. Not really sneak dissing, because he said his name. He also said it on this. They're just dissing. What you don't catch about it, if you don't listen before you speak, which most people in this day and age have a problem doing, is before he says any of that, he says, I've worked with DeAndre for years. I've been talking to DeAndre and have worked with DeAndre since the draft. He was somebody that we watched. He loves the work ethic that DeAndre Swift shows. He doesn't take any single day for granted. He loves to work. Now, more than anything, we've got to make sure that he understands that he can find 4.5 yards between the tackles, but also hit the home run. You see, what that sounds like to me, Bears fans, is coaching. What that sounds like to me is a coach saying, listen, I love how DeAndre works. I love that he doesn't take anything for granted. I love that he wants to attack every day. He wants to get better, but he's got to know, and we're going to make sure he knows, that he can get 4.5 yards between the tackles. But also that, hey, that home run is available for you. That's coaching. That's Eric Bieniemy, in my mind, telling DeAndre Swift, hey, listen, you're going to have your home run shots, and we're going to make sure that you know when to take them. But you don't go broke taking deposits in the bank, and deposits mean 4.5 yards, because if you get that twice, that's 9 yards on the ground, and then we probably will give the football to somebody to ground and pound and get up the middle for that extra one. Here we go again. It's going to be a very run-heavy style. He even chuckled, actually, when Jeff Joniak said on Chicago Bears, etc. Tap in with the interview. Great interview. But he even chuckled and said when Jeff Joniak was like, it's going to be a run heavy team, ain't it? And he's just like, listen, we're going to run the football. But I think so much of, let me rephrase this. There are people in this industry who will take anything that fits the narrative that rolls with what they believe and will turn it to fit their narrative, right? And I'm not going to say that I've never been a part of doing something like that. I'm not going to say that I've never taken something and heard it in a way that does fit how I feel about something. But I would say usually those are vague interpretations where it is kind of left up to the listener to figure out what I mean by this. This was not that. This was Eric Bieniemy showing DeAndre Swift love. This was Eric Bieniemy telling DeAndre Swift, hey, this is available to you and we will teach you how to get there. But also, the home run will be there. This is Eric Bieniemy telling DeAndre Swift, hey, the system is going to be different than what you've been in, and if you trust it, you will be able to get exactly what you need to get. You will be able to live up to the $8 million expectation, which is tough in my mind. But hey, he's here. You're spending money on him. Let's do it. And again, I am not, y'all know on this channel, I'm not Mr. Swift. I'm not a big DeAndre Swift guy. I came on here the day he was signed and was like, I don't know why we just spent money on a running back. I have spent the entire time saying taking a running back at 10 is not the move. But when I see the narrative that comes out of today, when Eric Bieniemy is talking, and I see how people are running to say, see, this means DeAndre Swift is out. He's not out, for one. Number two, they're going to have to figure out how to make this work. And number three, you've got a coach talking like a coach, and certain people don't know how to deal with it. That's what I took from the Eric Bieniemy comment. Shout out to Frank Nitty in the chat, man. Sent the super chat. Shout out to you, my guy. Said, have you noticed any good changes in the chats of the other Bears podcast show? Thank you for your hard work and content creation. Hashtag Pat the Designer Podcaster of the Year. You know what? I will say that. Listen, I'm, and first off, appreciate you for Podcaster of the Year. I don't believe I'm any of that, but I have noticed a change in some of the comments. Listen, the people that hate me are going to hate me. My goal was to drown out the comments. My goal was to drown out the hate. And you guys did a great job of that on the last couple of episodes, man. I mean, like, I'm fine with dealing with the criticism. It was when I'm getting hit with the hey, Pat, Mr. DEI over here. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. We're starting the racism already. Can we at least let the racism start after 7 o'clock? Although Jordan JC this morning was early with the shucking and jiving comment. That was crazy this morning. If you were in on the morning breeze this morning, you know what I mean? I thought that was a wild comment from Jordan JC. Hannibal Bean said, I love what this football team is doing. The moves they are making are very impressive that I've seen this movie before. I am not and will not drink the Kool-Aid. I'm waiting until week 7 or 8. I hear that. I get that. I understand what you're saying there. I understand the concern that this team may not end up living up to the hype. I get that. But I also I'm looking at where we're at right now. I'm looking at feet in the ground. I'm looking at having your feet where you are, as Flus would say. And where the Bears are today, you're not moving on from DeAndre Swift. You're not changing the bulk of this running back room without drafting one, right? And I do think the Bears will end up drafting one. We'll talk about some of that with some of the top 30 visits that are available to the Chicago Bears. But I see the narrative forming. I see people just foaming at the mouth right now. I told you, but they hate him. He didn't say that. In fact, what he says was he does a lot of things really, really well. But there's this thing we need to coach. And we are going to coach that. That's what coaches do. And I know for most of us, right, we're not used to hearing coaches speak in not just coach speak, but in things that actually mean something. I get it. I understand it. I understand that we're not used to hearing a coach speak in glowing terms of his players and actually meaning here's where an issue may lie, because I do think this is an issue. Number one, I think it's going to be tough based off of what he said, right? Let's base it off of what he said. Shout out to Crizzy Cross. Shout out to you, Pat. The haters. You gotta hit with that. The haters. Shout out to you, my guy. Based off of what he said, though, and based off of what I've seen, history tells me a lot. I do not believe that DeAndre Swift will be getting 4.5 yards between the tackles on every play. I think that DeAndre Swift is a outside zone rusher. I think that DeAndre Swift is somebody who works better outside zone. I think he's also somebody who does a good job catching the football, and maybe that could be something if you're talking about a screen game between the tackles and the tackles leading the way. Like, I don't know where the 4.5 comes from. I'm not sitting here telling you that I believe that I believe that DeAndre can get to that. Again, I've talked about DeAndre Swift ad nauseum over the offseason and why I think he's a position that does need to be upgraded. But what we're not going to do, and what at least I'm not going to do, is pretend like I didn't hear what he actually said versus what people are trying to twist his words into. That's not the world that I want to live in. That's not the world that I live in. That's not where I want to operate. Rowdy B said, my expectation is for Caleb to be good, no excuses. Hey, that's why you brought this staff in. That's why you brought this coaching staff in, right? That's why you go out and you end up getting Ben Johnson. That's why you go out and you get Eric Bieniemy. That's why you do it all to make Caleb Williams better. I bring in Eric Bieniemy to help DeAndre Swift, who in turn helps Caleb Williams. It's not the other way around. So I understand the expectation is for Caleb to be good. My thing would be, when I look at last season, was Caleb bad or was Caleb a rookie? We do realize, right, with the Caleb Williams conversation, with a horrible offensive line, Caleb Williams had a top quarterback season in Chicago, top 5 quarterback season in Chicago. We do realize that, right? As a rookie. Now, I'm not saying there's not things that don't need to be improved upon, but I need y'all to understand this. As a rookie, it's why you bring the staff in. It's why you bring Eric Bieniemy in. It's why you bring no-nonsense coaches in. Eric Kramer, 3,800 yards. Jay Cutler, 3,800 yards. Jay Cutler, 3,600 yards. Jay Cutler, 3,600 yards. Caleb Williams, 3,500 yards. As a rookie, by the way, Jay Cutler was a 6-year vet, 9-year vet, 10-year vet on the top 3 that he did together. And if you really want to clump them all together, he's the 3rd best quarterback you've ever had in the franchise. Stats wise. I mean, Jim McMahon is Jim McMahon, right? Jim McMahon is, that's a god. You win a Super Bowl, you got. You know, that's different. But you talk about the starting point. Your starting point for Caleb Williams is statistically the 3rd best quarterback in your franchise's history. Yards wise. Touchdown wise, he is in his rookie year the 10th best quarterback in your franchise's history. And again, this is by year. If we're going by name, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks who have thrown more touchdowns in a single season than Caleb Williams did. 6 more touchdowns in the history of the team. All later on in their career. The goal is to get coaches in the building like this, like Eric Bieniemy, who are going to be no nonsense, who are going to tell the players what it is, who are going to build them up but hold them accountable. And I think that's the theme of what today is. That's the theme of what Eric Bieniemy's comments to me were. He didn't tear down DeAndre Swift. He didn't say he's not in on DeAndre Swift. He didn't say anything to the effect of how I feel DeAndre Swift is as a player. I'm talking about as a player, not as a person. I'm sure he's a great dude. Talked with him a couple times in passing, nothing lengthy, right? But you bring a coach in like that who, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody let me know if this is different. If I'm not mistaken, in his first interview, Chicago Bears wise, gives the player praise, says what the player needs to work on, says what the player can do. Hey, we got to get that 4.5 yards between the tackle and make sure he's comfortable with that, but also let him know that he can hit that home run. This is a completely different world that we are talking about right now, coaching wise. So yes, I do expect Caleb Williams to be good, but it's not because I'm hoping for a miracle this season. It's because if I look at the yards, Caleb Williams has the 5th most passing yards of any Chicago Bears quarterback ever. It's because if I look at the percentage, Caleb Williams has the 6th best percentage in Chicago Bears history of any quarterback ever. It's because if I look at touchdowns, he has the 10 most touchdowns of any Chicago Bears quarterback ever. And again, these are different years. I'm going off of years, not off of the specific person. Jay Cutler's there a lot. If you wonder where he comes in on the interception tally of things, 25th, very far down with 6. And if you wonder where he comes in quarterback rating wise by year 7 in his rookie year, with an offensive line that I have come on this channel many a times and said they were all down on one knee singing like Boys to Men, with a head coach who was voted the worst head coach in NFL history. I shouldn't say that. that was too far. That was too far. He's up there though. Who was actually, and there's some ratings that do say that though. There's some ratings that, and we talked about it all last season, right? Flus was a generational loser on the football field. Flus was a generational loser. Like how he lost games, no other coach in history lost games. Flus is a generational loser, so you can say in history, but was voted by the players one of the worst head coaches in the NFL last season. Ray just said, yeah, too far, just too far, Pat. No, not too far. If we're being honest, how Flus lost games, no other head coach in the history of the NFL had done it. How he had lost back-to-back games in that way. No other head coach in the history of the game had done it. How he had a 90+% chance to win games, and I think it was 7 games, and lost those games. No other head coach in the NFL has done it. So I don't know if it is too far to say worst head coach in NFL history, but I'm not going to go that far. You write your own narrative on that. I don't think he was the worst head coach in NFL history. But I think he was. Hey, it's like, you know, for me, I don't think that LeBron James is the GOAT. I got him too. I think that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. But I got LeBron James in the conversation. I don't think Flus is the worst head coach in NFL history. But I got him in the conversation. Hey, man, if you haven't done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, man. We got a lot to cover on this episode, got a lot to talk about here. I did want to address that early on because I did feel like I saw where the narrative was going. I saw how people were talking about it, and I thought it was an untrue narrative in totality. Bears have their top 30 visits on the docket right now. So far, Josh Cornerly, who we talked about out of Oregon, is on the list. Ashton Genty, running back, is on the list, 3 down back there for top 30 visit. Will Campbell is on the list for the Chicago Bears, and we definitely got to talk about Will Campbell a little bit more in depth. Nick Martin is on the Bears top 30 list, the linebacker out of Oklahoma State, which is an interesting one because I talked about how that linebacker position could definitely use an upgrade. Do they do that through the draft this season? And then Brashard Smith also on the list. So clearly running back is a focus for the Chicago Bears here. Again, after everything I said, I don't think that the running backs are going to just go unpaid attention to here. Right. I do think that is something that the Chicago Bears are going to focus on. I do think that Eric Bieniemy is letting DeAndre Swift know, hey, this is where things are right now. Hopefully we can improve them, but also we're looking over here. I'm going to check out pro days. And we talked about this morning on the Morning Breeze, how Eric Bieniemy was at the Texas Pro Day, how, you know, when you talk about some of the running backs down there, what they can bring. I think Brashard Smith is a interesting back, 5'10", 194 pounds, 1,326 rushing yards, had 14 touchdowns in 2024. 5.7 yards per carry. Only question that I do have on Brashard Smith right now is some of the struggles to break tackles, some of the struggles struggles to break arm tackles, not as willing of a blocker. I think that could be an issue for the Chicago Bears in the long run. But I do like kind of what I'm seeing out of going out and taking a look at a guy like Brashard Smith, because I think he's somebody you can get in the later rounds, and I would be okay with that. A 4.39 40 time, so fast as all get out. I think he's got great open field speed. I think he's got some long strides that allow him to get there. Biggest question on him would be the break tackle ability, but I think that Brashard Smith is somebody who I would be very, very interested in. But outside of that, I do want to talk about the top 30 thing because of the Will Campbell conversation of it all. And Bears Junkie saying, I've talked a lot of ish about Will Campbell. His arms measured at 33, and today at his pro day, insert foot in mouth. Here's my problem with that, though. And I'm listen, Bears Junkie, I'm glad that you said it that way. Here's my problem with that, though. Did you watch him? You know what I mean? Did you watch him? I don't care if they're 32 and 4/5. I don't care if they're if he's got stumps on his body and he's just chest blocking out there. Did you watch the player? We do understand that those tackles up in Detroit that we rant and rave about have short arms. The offensive line that we're like, he knows what he's looking at. He knows how to build it. He knows how to get guys in there and develop the offensive line. We know they had short arms, right? That they got the T-Rex thing going on. They got the. Now, Will Campbell's, I will say, is extremely noticeable. I will say that. Will Campbell's is like, I saw Will Campbell do this and I was like, ooh, he's kind of like this right now. Like, it is noticeable. But when you watch Will Campbell play versus SEC competition, which I know some people want to just go, oh, he's, it is the SEC is done. It's not the same level of competition. Meanwhile, we're talking about edge rushers out of the SEC almost every day. That Will Campbell is usually dominating a lot of those names. That Will Campbell is usually not only using great footwork, but also getting a hold of some of those guys and putting them in the absolute dirt. For lack of a better word, sending them to hell. I saw that week in and week out. And because somebody said, oh, well, his arms are stumpy, the national narrative, and this isn't to you, Bears Junkie, it's just, I feel like this is what the national narrative did, was this guy can't play left tackle. There's no way this guy can be a left tackle in the NFL. And what I love, Tom Waddle said this yesterday on the Chicago Bears podcast. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch this, but I thought this was such a great comment. First off, he was like, now I'm not going to tell you the inches don't matter. But if you're telling me that the difference in a left tackle being good, who was dominant in college at left tackle, is, I wish I had my tape measure on me right now to show y'all the difference in 32 and 5/8 and 33 inches. And I know football is a game of inches. But if you're telling me that all the tape for 4 years is null and void because of 3/8 of an inch, what conversation are we having right here? You know what I mean? Like the whole 32 and 5/8 was what they measured him at the combine. Relentless Mikey, what he measured at today was 33, and the entire narrative around him changed. The entire narrative around, I would get it if it was like 32 and 5/8, and then they measured him at the combine and it was 35. You know what I mean? That I get, right? You measure him at the combine, it's 32 and 5/8. You get to his pro day, it's 35. But at the end of the day, can this guy play football? At the end of the day, does this guy have the footwork to get out on a defender quick enough to get a hold of him and keep him off the quarterback? You know who has perfect measurables for a tackle? And I don't think people know this. You know who has perfect measurables for a tackle? Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones has perfect tackle measurements. Perfect. Everything that a tackle should be, Braxton Jones has. You know who else does? And I'm not fully out on this guy yet, but I think you need to upgrade it. Curhan Amagaji. Perfect. I mean, if you want to talk about measurements for a tackle, where's Jordan JC at? He'd be salivating over how this guy's built if he was coming out of the draft this year. He'd be jiving right now. I'm sorry. My bad. That was too much. The question is, can you play the position? Can you go out there on a game in and game out scenario and play the position? When I see Will Campbell on a play in and play out scenario can play the position. When I see Will Campbell go up against some of the top defensive ends in college football, who we're talking about as first round picks, I see Will Campbell take those guys and drive them into the dirt, just like it's the blind side. That guy needed to go sit on the bus. Now, I'm not saying things translate apples to apples in the NFL, but the fact that 3/8 of an inch today changed the opinion on a young man who had 3 years of tape that told you this dude might be a problem is asinine to me. And for all the people that say, oh, Pat, you got to watch the tape. You got to watch the tape. You got to watch the tape. I need y'all to do a better job on that one. Because that was a crazy argument. That was a crazy argument to me. Something else that I thought was interesting today before we get up out of here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. And then now the conversation on the offensive line, right? And remember, but you get to tell your short arm jokes, Pat. Hey, listen, they are stumpy. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. When you see, shout out Raging Oracle. When you see I'm telling y'all, there's a picture. I got to see if I can pull it up. You see it. Will Campbell. Because I could care less about his arm length. But there's a picture with him celebrating. Hold on. Here it is. I'm not going to lie. And let me see if I can say this. Good. This is a JPEG. If we going to talk about it, right, let's have a conversation. And I hope he's a Bear. I would love to see him as a Bear. But let me upload this real quick. My mans don't have elbows, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I got some questions. I got some questions. Now, Are you telling me a little resin on the hand? Got a little pine tar on the hand there? Are you telling me that this guy can't go out there and block somebody? Are you telling me that he can't go out there and drive somebody into the dirt? I've seen it. But I do question where his elbows are at. I do have some wonders on if he has to like sit on the floor to pull up his pants. I've got some questions. If he has to high five a teammate, does he have to jump? I have questions. But that has nothing to do with the fact that I saw that young man on tape take another human being and bury him so far in the dirt, his coach had to go out in the field and look for him. No elbows or not, that young man can play left tackle. It does look like he may need help putting the helmet on, but that young man can play left tackle. And I get it. Everybody doesn't have an opportunity. Listen, here's the real long and short of all of it. That was no pun intended. That was wild. No pun intended. Here's the real long and short of all of it, though. More people than not don't have an opportunity to just sit there and watch guys tape. So most people that you're going to talk to on the internet, most people that you're going to talk to online, most is working 40s if they lucky. If you in the construction business, 16 a day is nothing. You know what I mean? I've had 18-hour days, and then I've come home and I've had to watch some tape. Like that, like most people are not in the business enough to have to sit there and watch tape. So what do? They watch the highlights. They watch what comes on ESPN. They watch what pops up on the screen. Right? Like those are the realities of the world. So I don't take everything. I take everything I should say with a grain of salt when I'm having a random argument with some people. But what I do think a lot of Bears fans do is they will take the time to at least try and go watch something that is a breakdown of someone talking about them. A breakdown of someone who does have the time, who that is all they do. And where I think that gets you lost is a lot of times some people's opinion overlap the tape, or you watch one game where this guy didn't have a great game and that opinion overlaps the tape. You know what I mean? I think that's where it gets tough sometimes. But at the end of the day, I've watched a lot of tape on Will Campbell. There are a lot of people still getting dug up so that they can get to the draft. They're literally just in the field. We got to get him out of here. He's getting drafted in 6 months. He's got a pro day coming up. What are you doing? I'm fixing a divot. If you get that joke, shout out to you. And so for me, I'm just, I don't take what everyone says as fact. Take everything you hear as a grain of salt, including here. Listen, some of the stuff I come with is opinion. I'm not telling you that everything I say is fact. It's how I feel about certain situations. I'm an analyst. I am not a reporter. But when I watch the tape, when I see Will Campbell, when I see this young man out here putting mugs down, I feel like this guy's got great tape and he's a left tackle at the NFL level. But he may need help scratching his kneecaps. Hey, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to the show. Love, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. One more thing I did want to get to before I get up out of here, man, is I saw this as now Tevin Jenkins has been paid. And I don't know if everyone saw the contract. 1 year, $3 million. And it made me start to look around at where are they now? Because this is a market where what's the boy that the boy is crazy, Pat. Geez, what is going on the breeze today? Who's the young man? Shucking and jiving. What's the boy? We gotta relax today. Who's the young man who the from the 49ers that the Packers ended up signing, right? End up signing to a crazy amount of money. Crazy amount of money. I can't think of his name right now, but y'all know what I'm talking about. In a market where he got paid, I believe, $77 million. Right now, Nate Davis is jobless. Matt Pryor is jobless. Tevin Jenkins, Coleman Shelton, Larry Borom, and Jake Curhan. Aaron Banks, shout out to Dave. Dave is beastly out here. Combined for $18 million in contracts. In a market where they're throwing dumb money at average linemen. Five guys who started for the Chicago Bears last season. Started. Got paid $18 million in contracts. And you're telling me that Caleb Williams was the biggest problem? Five guys who have all started. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys who have all started for the Chicago Bears last season of a rookie quarterback. 2 of them are jobless. 4 of them basically barely got signed. They're coming off of a 68 sack season. And I'm supposed to believe that the rookie quarterback who had never been in the NFL, who's trying to figure it out, who's trying to get things together, who's trying to understand the timeouts, who's got a terrible head coach, who's got an offensive coordinator who seems like he doesn't have an answer at the goal line in the slightest, who has all of these things, who, when a new offensive coordinator came in, he basically said, so here's how you should look at a play. 1, 2, 3, 4. You go to 1, that's called a progression. You go to 2, you go to 3, you go to 4. If they're not open, take off. Usually if you get to 2, you probably need to start thinking about taking off. You're telling me that guy who dealt with all of that, that's the problem. Not any of the dudes who the NFL looked at this offseason. In an offseason where, I mean, if you played offensive line, you were getting some kind of money. None of them got the bag. I'd get it if if one of them got the bag. If one of them got the bag. The starting right tackle you started the season with, Nate Davis, does not have a job. The NFL doesn't believe he's in any tier of valuable free agents. He will probably end up with a job. He will probably end up getting paid something. But he was the starting right guard of the Chicago Bears. The league is looking at him and saying, ugh, we're good. Matt Pryor started right guard for you in place of Nate Davis all season. And I'm not going to lie, I actually like Matt Pryor. I actually feel like Matt Pryor was, I'm not going to say he was good, right? He wasn't good. But I will tell you that there were multiple weeks in a row where I didn't worry about if Matt Pryor was out there. Where I didn't think about Matt Pryor. You realize the guys that we brought in this year, Jonah Jackson makes 16. Joe Tooney's probably getting the baggy bag, although we talked about this morning. Ryan Poles be getting some contracts done. Or last night, I should say. Ryan Poles be getting some contracts done. So maybe it won't be the baggy bag. But basically, in a player, and I'll say this, whatever rookie you end up signing off of the street, those two players will have made more money than four guys who started on your offensive line at certain points last season. There's your problem. I'm fine with blaming Caleb Williams for the problems that Caleb Williams has. Am I going to sit here and tell you that he didn't run anybody into a sack? Am I going to sit here and tell you that he didn't ever hold the football too long? Am I going to sit here and tell you that there are interceptions that he threw last season, far and few between, that I think were just bad throws? Am I going to sit here and tell you there are times where he just didn't throw the football when he needs to let the football go? I'm not telling you that those things aren't true. That's called being a rookie quarterback in the NFL and having to learn. When I'm telling you that our GM, who seems like he has done a complete 180, and I love it. I don't know if it's because of Ben Johnson. I don't know if it's because of Kevin Warren. I don't care who it's because of. But what I'm sitting here telling you is that our GM, who has done a complete 180, put a rookie quarterback who had never seen NFL pass rush, who had never seen NFL talent, who had never seen guys. I'm not going to say never seen NFL talent, right? There were guys drafted who he played against, but who had never seen a NFL pass rush where even on the bad teams, if you're good because you made the NFL, you're probably going to get the best of a ragtag group of guys. That's what he put him behind. And just like I said last season, that is a problem. Don't care if he's holding the ball too long, all these other things that come into play. That is coachable. Holding the football too long, coachable. I would assume Ben Johnson's going to help with that this season. Not having a running game at all last season. Think that made things a little bit difficult on him? All of these problems that arise. But I'm supposed to believe in the first year where this young man ended up being top 10 in just about every passing category for the Chicago Bears, that he's the problem. Gotcha. And I'm sure there'll still be somebody down in the comments defending it. Still be somebody down in the comments. Are you kidding me? How do you not see Caleb Williams is terrible? I get it. But I don't see it because I see that at every step of the way, there is literally the NFL telling you, this is what this guy did. This is how this guy goes. This is how this team operated. This is how this player plays. This is why this guy's not good. Not the Bears, not Bears media, not ESPN, not 670 The Score, not FSN, not FS1, not any of those. Not them. The NFL is telling you that Nate Davis is the problem. Matt Pryor was a problem. Tevin Jenkins was the problem. Coleman Shelton, Larry Borom, Jake Curhan. That's your problem. I tend to listen to the NFL. When the NFL talks, I listen. But hey, let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. I know what to do. More content coming you guys' way. So stay tapped in with us, man. Appreciate you guys for rocking with us. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. I'm going to get up out of here. We will be back for the Morning Breeze tomorrow. I had to think about that. We'll be back for the Morning Breeze tomorrow morning. So tap in with us, man. Of course, if you haven't done so, check out today's Chicago Bears podcast. Me and Jason McKee doing a really fun episode with J Mac today. Talked about top 30 business, talked about a lot of the stuff we talked about today, but a little bit more in depth. And of course, with a professional players aspect on it. So y'all stay safe out there, Chicago Bear down. One love. Peace.